I read some disappointing books in 2023. Now, before we begin, I want to reiterate that these books were just not my cup of tea. They are not necessarily bad books. The first book on my most disappointing books list of 2023 was The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This is a murder mystery novel in which a bunch of wedding guests have traveled to a remote island for the big event. They are wowed by the spectacle. Everyone is having a great time until someone ends up dead. And now the wedding guests need to figure out who the murderer is. I had high expectations about this one because I heard a lot of people on BookTube really enjoyed it. And so I was surprised when I started reading it that the first half was a very slow build-up. I didn't really find any of the characters likable, and I wasn't that invested in their journeys. So then when the murder happened and they were trying to figure out who was the murderer, I just didn't care. So I think those elements worked against The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and it unfortunately has made my most disappointing books of 2023 list. The second book on my most disappointing reads of 2023 is The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. This is a mystery thriller in which a vicar and her daughter travel to a small remote village. And as they are getting assimilated into their new life, they are realizing that something's not quite right. And the vicar soon realizes that some of the villagers are holding secrets. I had high hopes for this one because I had read The Chalk Man by C.J. Tudor, and I loved that one. It was a great mystery with a chilling twist at the end. And so when I heard about The Burning Girls, I was really excited about it. However, like The Guest List, I had a similar issue with this one. The burn was a little bit too slow. It was a little less action than I expected. And I think my biggest downfall with this one was that I thought it was going to be more of a horror book, but it turned out to be more of a thriller mystery. So unfortunately, I have to say that the writing was not as great as other books by this author that I've read, and overall I was really underwhelmed by The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. Now, all is not lost. I am actually reading The Other People by C.J. Tudor later in the year, so I'm holding out some hope for that one. Hopefully the same interest that I had with The Chalk Man will be reflected into a later read. But I'm so sad to say that The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor made it on my most disappointing books list. And the final book on my most disappointing reads of 2023, I'm sorry to say, was Nothing But Blackened Teeth. This is a horror novel in which a group of friends gather in an old, haunted mansion to celebrate a wedding. But they quickly realize that there is an additional guest. I had seen this everywhere in the horror community, and people seem to either really like it or really dislike it. And unfortunately, I'm in the dislike category with this one. I like the premise and I like the interaction with the characters. However, I felt that for a book that was under 150 pages, this went so painfully slow. It, in my opinion, was grossly overwritten. The writing was just overinflated, in my opinion. And I'm sad to say that this book just kind of dragged on, and I felt like I was reading it forever, where in fact it was less than 150 pages. So unfortunately, I am so sorry to say that Nothing But Blackened Teeth was my most disappointing book of 2023. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is about a group of friends who come together to celebrate a wedding. I'm sensing a theme here, Jane. You didn't like The Guest List, and that had a wedding. You didn't like this one, and it has a wedding. I'm starting to see a theme here, Jane. Like, Maybe Jane just doesn't like weddings. Maybe that's a thing. Now, all is not lost. I am actually reading The Other People by C.J. Tudor later in the year, so I'm holding out some hope for that one. Hopefully the same passion that I had for the Chalkman will revive itself in The Other People. But that sounds so weird. Maybe rephrase that, Jane. I don't know. Now, if you want to see my favorite books of 2023, the best of the best, you want to click on this video.